So I thought we'd end on a high note. How do you define a thriving state?
In polyvagal theory, they say that we're taught that the nervous system has different states that it experiences, and it's mapped out onto a ladder. And so let's just imagine a ladder. At the bottom of the ladder, we have what's called the dorsal vagal state. In the middle of the ladder, we have what's called the sympathetic state. And at the top of the ladder, we have what's called the ventral vagal state. And the ventral and the dorsal vagal states are connected to the polyvagal nerve. We don't have to go into the science of all of that. What we do know is that this dorsal vagal state is the state of deep collapse, immobilization, shutting down, turtling in. It's a deep, deep state of protection and preservation. It's the oldest aspect of the nervous system of organisms. It's been around the longest. So you can just kind of imagine when there are threats, when there are neuroseek threats, there's this collapse into this state of dorsal. I'm going to end on your high note. So then we've got sympathetic. Sympathetic is newer than the dorsal vagal state, and sympathetic came online as the mammal state of fight or flight, right? So it's like, wait a minute, I got claws and fangs and I can run and I'm big and right. And it's like, I'm going to fight back or I'm going to run like a cheetah. And it's like the roaring and, so we know a lot about sympathetic, right? It's like the revving of the engine. So sympathetic and dorsal is what I call your survival state, your survival system together. And connected to that, you've got the emotional expressions of fear, anger to sympathetic, and despair in dorsal. And then we have this, what we would consider to be newly developed social engaged state called ventral vagal, which is connected to thriving, the state of possibility, the state of flourishing, and you could say the emotional quota of joy. And so what we know is that unless that polyvagal nerve has been severed, somehow it's damaged, that we have within our biology access to this thriving state at all times. And that's what led me down to this path of deep questing around not only, the integration of the Flowing Fears process, but wait a minute, if we're in a collective shitstorm or a personal shitstorm, and we're waiting for something outside of ourselves to change so that we can move towards thriving, so we can access dreaming, possibility, right? Flourishing, joy, gratitude. So, only if the things outside of us change can I access that state. I know intellectually that is actually not true, and it's not going to happen. I'm going to be waiting a long time for something to change outside of myself before I can change what's within myself. And so I started practicing in the midst of my own terror and fear. Can I shift states when all odds are against us?
I think we have to have a part 2 to this conversation about the polyvagal.
Well, you'll learn about it in the masterclass, the free online webinar series that I'm offering.